Hi everyone, this is Balazs from Racing Brick. I'm sure you know these Speed Champions boxes quite well by now. You could see my detailed designer reveal video about them with the one and only Chris Stamp, who shared all the possible details and background information. If you somehow missed that video, I strongly suggest to watch it. The link is in the top right corner as usual. Now it's time to build them one by one and reveal all their secrets. Today we will follow the numbering and begin with the Ferrari 812 Competizione. This is a track-focused version of the Ferrari 812 Superfast. After the reveal, people thought it will be the last non-hybrid V12 from the Italians, but its heart will actually live on in an SUV. Anyway, let's focus on the Lego version. You can see the car driving on a road among the hills with a few buildings in the background. I wonder where it can be. Let's check the back of the box. Here is the rear of the car and the bigger part of the scenery. A palm tree, nice beach, lots of buildings. I don't do this often, but I was curious as this view looked familiar, so I googled it a bit and we are actually in Monaco. Somewhere here on the beach to be more precise. You can see pretty much the same view, although I'm not 100% sure you can see all these from the car. I didn't spend time to find the exact spot from the front. Let me know in the comments if you have the coordinates. We also have the real car here with the same color combination that some of you call the McDonald's livery. Now let's open the box. There are two numbered bags inside, a separate unnumbered one with the wheel covers, the base, the sticker sheet and the manual. Here's a close-up of the stickers, and here is the part list if you are interested. Now let's start building. Okay, before we do that, let's take a closer look at the new chassis piece and compare it to the previous one. Oh, sorry Audi, I had to borrow this for a minute. So what changed? Well, it's easier to show what didn't. The overall dimensions are similar, same width and length, and the 6 studs on the sides are there as well. It has two new major party tricks. The first is the usable space in the middle. Previously it was 5x4 studs, now it is 5x6. Which means that even a proper 4-seater will be possible to build. The other is the depth of this middle section. Not sure how visible it is, but compared to the previous version there's an extra plate of depth, meaning the minifigs will be able to sit lower. The whole car can be lower actually. And there are extra cutouts at the ends, just to be able to fit stuff there if necessary. The Speed Champions team apparently follows the Colin Chapman way of thinking: simplify, then add lightness. Everything without a function will be removed. So, here comes the rear axle. You would think the seats will go all the way back, but no, that row gets covered. Those will be the seats there, and there's still plenty room in front of them. Here's the other brand new piece that allows to build much lower cars in the future, the new wheel arch element. I had to disassemble the Quattro a bit more for another comparison. From the outside it looks the same, but the team was able to remove all excess that was not mandatory to hold this thing together. One plate height removed from the sides here, the middle got lower as well here and here. The only gain is on these studs here on the two sides, but the overall profile is still much lower, and the most important feature is easy to see. Now it will be possible to have tiles that are the same level as the top of the wheel arch itself. I don't think we had this 1x1 tile previously with the Ferrari logo print, so it's a nice addition. Now you can have branded headrests for your Speed Champions Ferraris, pretty cool. I'm always amazed when the designers manage to fit an entire 2x6 classic brick in a Speed Champions set. This might be one of the most unusual pieces used in this build, a new generation stud shooter. And what it is used for? It will be the perfect square exhaust for our Ferrari. Now here comes the funny part. The stud shooter wouldn't need the trigger handles to mimic the exhaust, but they are actually included in the package. It is good for two things. If you use the set as a parts pack, then you will have two fully functional stud shooters, or, and I think that's a better option, your Ferrari will be able to shoot flames. Now how cool is that? I suggest to use parts from your own collection for this stunt though. These parts from the set would work, but you don't want to lose the special printed trans-red ones used for the headlights. There's only one spare in the set. Okay, here's something I don't recall seeing anywhere else. We have this printed 1x1 brick here. The print actually simulates those vents below the rear lights. Now this brick gets a sticker as well for the other side, representing those cuts behind the rear wheel. Why couldn't this be a print as well? Maybe printing on multiple sides is not that obvious? I will make sure to ask Chris about this. This wing piece simulates the rear diffuser. This section is really taking shape. A funny warning for this piece, the Ferrari logo has to be upside down. This is the rear wing assembly with quite a few tiny and super tricky stickers, and the whole thing is a nice example of snot building with the pieces attached in every possible direction. The real magic happens when you put it in place. It will sit just at the right angle to form the rear wing and the panel with the Ferrari logo between the rear lights. Well done! Another stickered slope to continue the racing stripe, and that little spot at the bottom is the small fin with the rear view camera in it. It is required as the car doesn't have rear windows. It has these fins instead on both sides to produce more downforce, replicated with another set of stickers on the model. Adding the seals on both sides, and this is the end of bag 1. It's quite funny to see how the middle space is almost too big in the new chassis piece as it gets filled with parts since the two-seater does not require more. We have the central console in place and here comes the steering wheel. Unfortunately, it is not perfectly aligned with the driver's seat this time. I assume this bracket here on the side was necessary to support the door panels, therefore it couldn't be moved a half stud to the right. The next thing to build is the front axle assembly. That rounded 2x4 tile gets an interesting sticker. It doesn't fully cover the piece. I guess it will be only partially visible. First I thought the yellow pieces are just there to echo the racing stripe in the interior as well, but I think the rear end of the 2x3 brick will be actually visible on the dashboard and it represents the yellow and black trim the real car has inside. The side is built of several different sections to give us the proper shaping. Small details added to the front, then comes the new wheel arch piece. Here are the first tiles for that characteristic striping on the long hood. This is the central piece for the hood with the grille at the front. This is also hinged to give that proper angle to the pieces. A few more tiles to finish the striping, then we add the two printed headlight pieces and a few stickers to add before we can finish the build. That black striping is not purely aesthetic, by the way. Extra vents are required on the hood as those nearly 800 horses produce quite a lot of heat. Here's the last piece before the wheels and our last novelty for today. The windshield is now printed on that super small side surface as well, giving us the proper slanted top line of the doors. This is something that was criticized on the Lotus Evija last year, for example, as that side yellow striping was too high. Now it would be possible to place it properly. We only have the wheel covers to add, then mount the wheels and our build is finished. Let's not forget the driver. I was supposed to build him at the very beginning. He's got a nice Ferrari branded jacket and he fits in the car perfectly even with the helmet on. So here's our Ferrari in its full glory. I have to confess that I'm not the biggest fan of the original's look, but I respect all the technology in the car and I think this LEGO version is a faithful representation of the original. We've got lots of characteristic details brick built, the vents on the hood and on the side, the whole rear section, especially the usage of the stud shooters that are still functional. There are lots of nice details. We got some printed elements and lots of stickers as well. It will always be a pain point for many of you, but I'm not sure people would really want a specific red and yellow printed piece with that fin at the end. It is not something you could really use anywhere else. The new chassis and wheel arch pieces allow the car to have a very low and long front section. There's a visible difference if we compare it to the F8 Tributo, for example. Interestingly, some people say it is actually too flat this time. Well, I think the long low nose definitely matches the original. That nice curvature of the top is not there, but that's not something that could easily be replicated with LEGO bricks. Or at least not this year, as the Speed Champions team comes up with something brand new each year, so never say never. I think this one is a nice addition to the Speed Champions lineup. Now it is time for you to share your opinion. Let me know in the comments please, what do you think about this model? How do you like the new parts? Let's talk about it. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe with notifications as more exciting LEGO and most importantly Speed Champions videos are coming very soon. See you next time, bye bye.